Strong standing in the polls has come new scrutiny, especially about some newsletters that came out under your name in the 80s and 90s in which there were comments made that were, quite frankly, racist and homophobic. Now, you say that you were the publisher of those newsletters, not the editor, and so you didn't know everything that was in them. But I want to ask you about a book that you wrote back in 1987 called Freedom Under Siege, and I want to ask you about some of the comments in that. In that book, you wrote this: the individual suffering from AIDS certainly is a victim, frequently a victim of his own lifestyle, but this same individual victimizes innocent citizens by forcing them to pay for his care. Question, Congressman, do you still feel that same way?
Well, I don't know how you can change science. I mean, sexually transmitted diseases are caused by sexual activity, and when it's promiscuous, it spreads diseases. That's been known, about 400 or 500 years on how these diseases are spread. So if a fault comes of people because of their personal behavior, in a free society, people do dumb things, but it isn't to be placed as a burden on other people, innocent people. Why should they have to pay for the consequences? That's a sort of a nationalistic or socialistic attitude. But in a free society, people are allowed to act the way they want, but they're responsible for their actions.
Let me just break in
They should
for a
be
minute,
rewarded.
Sir.
They should be.
Congressman, do you think that someone who suffers from AIDS should not be entitled to health insurance as opposed to, let's say, somebody who has a heterosexually transmitted disease?
No, I never said that. I'm just saying that people.
Well, when you talk about that they victimize other people by making us pay for them, what do you mean, sir?
Well, it depends on what the insurance company does. They're the ones who determine that, but there shouldn't be a law that says they're denied that. There's no way. I mean, the market should handle this. People who are pregnant 9 months, they can't go in and buy insurance. So insurance, they're supposed to be insurance. So if people are smokers, don't they have to pay more? Sometimes you get your insurance cheaper if you're a non-smoker. That's all I'm talking about, and let the market sort this out and let insurance sort this out, but not having dictates by the government and saying thou shalt or thou must do this and your behavior doesn't matter. If you drink too much and you go out and you do harm to somebody, you have to suffer the consequences. It's the same way with health matters. You don't have a right to demand that somebody else take care of you because of your habits. But that doesn't mean that you don't have laws.
Let me just interrupt, and I'm sorry, but we have limited time, and we want to get to the other two candidates as well. I want to ask you about one other thing that you wrote in your book back in 1987 about sexual harassment in the workplace. You wrote this: this is about the victims of sexual harassment, why don't they quit once the so-called harassment starts? Obviously, the morals of the harasser cannot be defended, but how can the harassee escape some responsibility for the problem? You said that sexual harassment should not be a violation of someone's employment rights.
Well, the whole thing is you have to get a better definition of sexual harassment. If it's just because somebody told a joke and somebody was offended, they don't have a right to go to the federal government and have a policeman come in and put penalties on those individuals. I mean, they have to say, well, maybe this is not a very good environment, and they have the right to work there or not work there. But if sexual harassment involves violence, as libertarians, we are very opposed to any violence. So if there's any violence involved, you still don't need a federal law against harassment. You just need to call a policeman and say there's been an assault or there's been an attempt at rape or something. So you have to separate those two out. But because people are insulted by, rude behavior, I don't think we should make a federal case out of it. I don't think we need federal laws to deal with that, and people should deal with that at home.